Welcome back to PACTV Community News with local stories from the South Shore. This week, we'll take you to the groundbreaking ceremony for the new maritime area in Plymouth, and we hear about the art and science of aging well from BID Plymouth.
We head to True Rep Theater's rehearsal of the show Amateurs. We meet an award-winning filmmaker from Pembroke, and we visit a No Place for Hate Building Safer Communities event at Plymouth Library. And our government update brings us an update on Plymouth Precinct's 15's voting location.
Our guests come from the Plymouth County Sheriff's Office to talk about scams and much more. It's going to be a great show, and we begin at Plymouth's waterfront. Plymouth is about to begin work on a new maritime facility, which will be located at the current state boat ramp parking lot behind the East Bay Grill. Along with the relocation of the Harbor Master's office, the maritime facility will have amenities including public restrooms and transient boating facilities such as showers and laundry facilities. PCN, along with Lieutenant Governor Karen Polito, was on site for the groundbreaking ceremony.
So today we're at the Leo DeMarche State Boat Ramp, and we're actually having a groundbreaking ceremony for the Plymouth Maritime Facility. Lieutenant Governor Karen Polito will be here today. Seaport Economic Council was actually provided a grant to the town of Plymouth to assist in building this maritime facility. We were really looking to address a number of items on the Plymouth Harbor Plan with this facility. We obviously wanted to make sure that boaters using the boat ramp and also tourists walking around the waterfront had public restrooms that were available for them to use. There's really not much offered in this corner of the downtown waterfront, so we wanted to address that, which we did. The other piece to this are inviting people to visit Plymouth by sea. Transient boaters that are cruising north and south of here, we want them to come in, see Plymouth, stay a while. So we added some transient boater facilities, which include showers, small-scale laundry, and bathrooms for them to use. The last piece is the Harbor Master office. We've been on Town Wharf in the Harbor Master Shack, as it's termed. So this building will have space for the Harbor Masters. Gives us a great view of the ramp operations and the harbor operations from this building. With this, we're looking at about a 10-month project, which puts us in really good shape to open this building in February or March 2020, just in time for the 400th celebration. So we're really looking forward to that grand opening. So this building is quite important to Plymouth. I had mentioned having a harbor plan, and really that harbor plan was getting community input as to the needs of the harbor. And this building, again, with the 3 different types of facilities built into it, addressed a number of those topics in that harbor plan. Obviously, I think public restrooms are key at this location, especially the transient facilities to encourage people to visit Plymouth by water, really supporting our #1 industry, tourism here in Plymouth. And with the parking situation, it's just another way for people to come in and not have another vehicle needing to park downtown. So we looked at encouraging the transient boaters, and then again, obviously our operations will be out of this building, which gives us great oversight of the boat ramp, the harbor. There also is a community space where we can have small meetings like harbor committee meetings, boating safety classes that we can offer to the public. So it's a way for us to be able to bring that into the building that we have.
The Plymouth Plantation Gainsborough Room hosted BID's Art and Science of Aging Well for seniors looking to live a healthy lifestyle. Topics ranged from estate planning to staying fit and eating healthy. Geriatricians and palliative care physicians, as well as estate attorneys, spoke about what measures seniors can take to stay healthy.
Disease or dementia live in a nursing home a few years after diagnosis. True or false? See, you guys don't need us.
We are doing an educational series on healthy aging and informing them of things like estate planning documents, eating healthy, being fit, and just the normal everyday aging process. Well, I'm going to be speaking about legal instruments, which is a healthcare proxy, a power of attorney, and a last will and testament to assist people in their aging process. I've come across a number of people that don't have these documents, and in a crisis situation, they are scrambling to either get these documents signed or they're having to go to court because the individual is incompetent to sign these documents. So I want to make sure that everyone hears the importance of the documents and executes them.
My topic tonight is about healthy aging and lifestyle. I came up with a mnemonic to help people remember some of the important things that will help maintain physical function and reduce disease. And that mnemonic is FLAME. So the F stands for food or a healthy diet. L stands for laughter. A stands for activity. M for meditation, and E for environment. Basically, just going to be talking about some common sense approaches to a healthy diet using a government plate called Healthy Plate for Older Adults. And just going to be talking about some studies that supports what kinds of foods can be helpful in reducing disease, helping people stay healthy, why laughter is important, why different types of activity and exercise is important, especially things like meditation and yoga. And lastly, your environment, who you're around, being outside, being around kids, being around animals, and how there's a lot of scientific data to support how that helps us stay healthy as we age.
I take care of a significant population of patients. Most of my patients are between the ages of 65 and 100. And I oversee a lot of their medical care. I'm the point person in trying to coordinate and navigate the complexity of a lot of the different issues that they face and the issues that their families face. One of the most common things that patients and their families ask when they come to see us is, what is normal? What am I experiencing? Whether it's changes in my body, changes in my thinking, changes in my mood that are typical for anybody who's aging and which are related to a serious health problem or disease. And so one of the most important things we try to do as geriatricians and people who specialize in taking care of patients who are aging is to really help people understand what they're going through and try to make sure that we can help them live the best quality of life possible despite whatever they're going through.
So all hands on deck is number one.
The Beale House in Kingston is the theater home for True Rep Theater. This local theater group covers classics to current works. Their newest show is Amateurs, which opens on June 21st. PCN met up with the cast as they rehearsed to hear more about them and their show.
This is True Repertory Theater. This is some of our resident actors that you see in the room right now. And we are currently in rehearsal for a June production of a comedy called Amateurs. I started acting when I was about 13 years old. And I grew up in Pembroke, which is the next town over. And something that they actually still have in August every year is a Pembroke Arts Festival. And there was a theater company called the Kickapoo Medicine Show that unfortunately is no longer in existence. But I went and I auditioned for them they were doing a show called The Prince's Dilemma for this arts festival. And that's where everything started, and I really haven't stopped since then.
You know, and does it, it can change that quickly.
The group itself has been around since 2001, and it started as an outdoor touring Shakespeare company at Fort Revere in Hull. And we've kind of evolved over the years. Ultimately, we wanted to take up residency on the South Shore in a permanent space. We've taken up residency here in Kingston, and we are currently in the Sampson Hall of the Beale House where all of our shows happen.
About the story that he's telling.
Our aesthetic is a little bit less conventional. When an audience member comes into our space, they'll be like, why aren't they using the stage? This room has a kitchen. There's so many references to kitchen in this script. So we've already got that built-in environment, so why try to recreate it? So we're doing something a little bit different and putting it all in one corner of the room. It challenges the actors in a different way.
everybody that I know that has come to see the shows has really enjoyed that aspect of it. It's like you're really in the action, you know, you're right there and not back with the actors up on the stage.
Every detail. Good. Can we come back for a second and try something?
I love being a very different character. It just gives you a chance to kind of get out of your everyday life and you really kind of soak up that character and become something completely different. And I mean, no matter what the character is, you always have to not be yourself. And I find that to be really kind of fun and challenging.
The silver.
This particular show, Amateurs, what really attracted me to it is that I think at a first read it looks very much like a very light comedy. But there's actually a lot of pathos to it. The show is really very much centered around the relationships. And what's really interesting and makes these characters complex and three-dimensional is that there's so much insecurity to each of these characters in terms of what's going on with their lives. There's so much longing, and there's also a sense of them sort of running from something.
Not only is it something that I've never heard of being done on the South Shore or in Massachusetts, but I don't know that it's really ever been done in this area. And that's one of the other things that True Rep really likes to promote, is shows that haven't been done before and challenge our audiences to really get out there and see something that they haven't seen before.
I'll be right back. Make yourself at home.
I think that in terms of what we're certainly going to make happen over the next couple of years is consistency of these seasons. We're also looking at educational theater for children, teenagers, adults. We currently have a show that when we moved into this space, we did as a fundraiser, and we're looking to tour that and possibly do fundraising events with other theater companies, or looking for businesses that are looking for entertainment for some type of event that they're doing, and things along that line. And we also have something called Project 719, which is a community outreach. So our theater is definitely about more than just our 4-show season. We have a lot of other things in the works that we're trying to get going.
Figure out what that is, because I think there's a great opportunity, like I was having you try that.
Mohammed Faisal is a writer and director who lives in Pembroke. His film, The Clockmaker, was shot in the New England area and recently won a Special Recognition Award. PCN's Walter Giacchetti sat down with him to learn more.
What are you doing here anyway?
How long do you think you're going to be here?
Are you lost, little fella?
How long have you been a carpenter?
Where were you last night?
The film is called The Clockmaker, and it's about a guy who used to be a clockmaker, and he loses his daughter. She dies in a fire, and a few years later, he still is not able to get over the death of his daughter. You know, the story is about family, basically. It's about a guy who's lost his family, and he can't let it go.
Mohammed Faisal is a writer and director who lives in Pembroke, Massachusetts. He said making The Clockmaker with a small budget was a big challenge.
We had a cabin, and then we had a gigantic house, and we only had the house for 2 days. Cabin, we had to drive down to New Hampshire, so we shot all those scenes, up to 50 to 60 scenes. It's ridiculous, but we did it in a day. Most of my friends that are in the film, I went to college with them. So they showed up, and some of the actors we auditioned that are local theater actors and film actors. We all have day jobs, so we only shot on the weekends. If one person was available and they had a scene with another actor and they were available, we shot all their scenes on the same day.
The film took 2 years to make.
The hardest part is, or was for me, is writing it. So that took about a year. After that, planning and scheduling and finding locations took another 6 months. Filming actually was entire summer on the weekends. And then the editing and, mixing part of it, which took about another 6 months or so.
I used to fix clocks and watches. Store closed down. Now I do whatever I can to survive.
I grew up watching films with my family, with my brother, my father, a lot of Indian movies. we used to watch all the time, and I was just fascinated by it. So when I actually went to college, I was a electrical engineering major. Then I found out they have theater and film there, so I switched my major. After college, we moved out to LA. My girlfriend, my wife now at that time, we lived there for about 2 years. There was, we didn't know anybody, didn't know where to go, what to do. I was writing a lot, but that's all I did. Couldn't get the script passed on to anybody, couldn't get it produced. Came back, got a job, got married, had kids, and now we have an opportunity. With the technology changing as they are changing, it has become much more affordable to make films now than it was back in the day.
Fossil recently received an award from the Boston International Film Festival.
We were very happy that they selected us as one of their official selections, and we ended up winning a special recognition award. So honestly, it was a shock. They had approximately 3,500 films apply to the festivals. They selected 135 films as official selections, and 17 films were given awards. We were just happy to be part of it. It was, met some great people, had amazing time, and award on top of it. I still don't know at this point. I'm beyond words. So I'm writing a film right now, and I'm hoping to film it into summer of 2020. And also Christopher Mike, I worked in the film, had written a book which he converted into a screenplay, and he wants to collaborate on that too. So two projects down the line.
Obviously, you're enjoying this a little too much.
In the early 2000s, the Plymouth chapter of the No Place for Hate Committee was created in order to promote social justice to the community. Last month, PCN stopped by one of their presentations, Building Safer Communities, at the Plymouth Public Library.
To connect you all to the local chapter, or the local meeting group of PFLAG, the South Shore Industrial.
Well, tonight, No Place for Hate is sponsoring a talk by Greater Boston PFLAG about promoting inclusivity and understanding of the LGBTQ community.
So tonight we're doing a presentation, a 101 about LGBTQ identities and issues. So we'll be talking about basic terminology, because I feel like a lot of people feel like they don't know enough about the LGBTQ community to speak on it in a way that is politically correct. And that's important. It's important to be respectful of people's titles and the way that they define themselves. But it's more important to be respectful of people and to let in people that are different than you. So we'll be talking about terminology, and then I'll also be talking about basic etiquette around these different issues and why it's really important that we need to support LGBTQ kids in our schools and in our communities so that these kids can thrive.
It is based off of a response to a presentation that they did at Plymouth South Middle School that some of the parents did not agree with the program. Mostly the disagreement was over not knowing about it beforehand. So this is kind of a response to that, to give the parents and families an equal knowledge of what their children were also taught.
Well, I'm just a concerned citizen. I read the article in the newspaper about the PFLAG presentation at Plymouth South Middle School, and I called the superintendent to see if there would be a presentation for parents. I'm not a parent, but I wanted to learn more about it. And he asked if maybe I could find a community group to give the presentation. So I called No Place for Hate, and here we are.
Well, the hope is that through education, we can make people feel less uncomfortable with the LGBTQ community. We know that the LGBTQ community exists, like, thank you, Ellen, right? But we don't always know exactly what to say, exactly the right way to say it, and exactly how to be allies to this community, specifically to the kids in this community, who are really the most vulnerable. And hopefully presentations like this in schools and in communities, at corporations, at community organizations, all the places that PFLAG goes, will make people more aware and more confident in themselves to become allies for those folks.
I think this committee is very important in bringing people together, especially in times where people are feeling a little more divided than they have in the past. Hate crimes have gone up exponentially in the last couple of years. So this group is very important to educating and promoting equality and inclusivity.
Our government update segment brings us an update on Plymouth Precinct 15's voting location.
It was a packed room for the Plymouth Select Board as residents aired their concerns over a proposed change to the location of Precinct 15's polling station, a private clubhouse within the Pine Hills residential community. Proponents of the move claimed that the location did not adequately serve residents who live within Precinct 15 but outside of the Pine Hills, with safety and parking among the chief issues cited.
The candidates and supporters all line that entranceway on both sides. It's very narrow when you have people lining it on both sides and you have cars coming in and out.
That's nerve-wracking as people are coming in, and I know people in my neighborhood just choose not to vote because they're concerned with the parking. It gets delayed because those people are standing on that side.
The voting issue is a safety concern for families.
And while claims of voter harassment were aired in local news and on social media leading up to the meeting, residents of the Pine Hills and others pushed back against them.
That the town meeting members of Precinct 15 surrounded people when they got out of their cars and intimidated them and told them how to vote. I can tell you that is nothing happens like that.
I've never seen anybody intimidated.
And there was no irritation of anybody there. What were we going to do? I passed Twizzlers out to everybody.
We have police presence to manage that.
Ultimately, one factor stood in the way of relocating the poll, a redrawing of the districts following the 2020 census, which will likely result in a new polling station for those living within District 15, but not the Pine Hills community. In light of that, the board decided against making a change.
Obviously, tonight, I don't support a change. These changes will occur organically. There is a process in place. Like he said, you're probably looking at May of 22 for the first change.
But there was one aspect of the issue that everyone in attendance could agree on.
Hateful dialogue on Facebook and social media.
Especially in social media. And complaining in social media. Social media, forget it.
Board Chairman Ken Tavares echoed the call for civility.
The social media comments. This has got to stop. It is absolutely ridiculous. We need to be kinder to one another. We have many issues in this town that are even bigger than this that we need to be working on, and I think we can do this together in a very civilized way.
That's this week's Government Update. For PACTV, I'm Keith Hughes.
We are so pleased to welcome today the Plymouth County Sheriff Joe McDonald and Laurie Sullivan, who's the Community Outreach Specialist for the Sheriff's Department. Welcome, both of you.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you for being here. Now, before we start, there's some people, believe it or not, that don't really understand what the Sheriff's Department is responsible for. So in a really abbreviated form, can you let us know?
Certainly, yeah, that's not uncommon. I get that question a lot. The Sheriff's Department has been in existence since 1692. We go back to the early days of the
way before,
the colony, before much of what we see around us existed. But our basic duties are very simple. We are the county level of corrections, meaning anyone who is serving a sentence, felony or misdemeanor of 2.5 years or less is in the Plymouth County House of Correction. And we are a jail as well. And a jail is where everybody goes when they're held pretrial.
Okay.
In addition to that, we have a lot of community outreach stuff we'll talk about, but we provide support services, communications, canine, a lot of support services to all of our public safety, our police, our fire, our EMS. So we have a lot of responsibility.
Okay. And the county, you cover the entire county, which is 26 towns and the one city of Brockton, correct? Okay, so that's a big area.
It is, yeah.
A lot of people.
About 700 square miles, about 500,000 people.
Yeah, okay. Awesome. Okay, so let's talk about, because I was very surprised when I read all this, that you do so much community outreach as the Sheriff's Department. So let's talk about how this has been part of your department for a long time and what the Triad program is, and then we'll get into some specifics.
Sure. You know, community outreach is something that I can really take little credit for. It's something that's been going on going back to the days of Sheriff Peter Flynn. We all remember Sheriff Flynn, and I do hear from Sheriff Flynn from time to time with suggestions and some great ideas. But many of the programs that were started have been there for many, many years. We've expanded some of them and improved a lot of them. But my predecessor sheriffs did a great job with that. And as you pointed out, Lori Sullivan is a specialist in those things. And she's been with us for, gosh, how long have you been with us now?
7 months.
7 months, yeah.
Okay.
You know, she's not yet been there a year, but this really was her specialty.
Yep.
She is great at going out, talking to groups, and letting them know
what you have,
yes,
and how they can get involved and take advantage of the things that you have.
Yeah.
So let's talk about a few things. Let's talk about first. Let's talk about how you help people identify and protect themselves from scams.
Sure. So basically, when we go out into different towns, COAs, whatever, so we talk about how to prevent yourself from being a target, warning signs, a lot of the robocalls that people are receiving, particularly seniors, they're very easy targets for that. And also emails, because some of these people are not the most computer savvy.
Sure.
So they have issues with that, where they feel like, oh, they have a virus on their computer and they get it pop up and they want to click on it. You need to, put in some of your personal information, and that's how they get tied up in that.
Right.
So it's a lot of different things. So we basically try to talk to them about, basically what's the latest scams, because they're constantly evolving, and they're getting definitely more savvy than they used to be. And they're cloning local phone numbers, they're cloning the Social Security Administration's phone numbers. So there's just a lot of different aspects to this that we're trying to get out there.
And it's mostly the elderly population that you help, because they're the most obviously vulnerable to this.
Yes.
But they're also the least savvy as far as social media and getting on the web and things like that. So when you go for outreach, you have to kind of go where they all are together. So that's why the Council on Aging is a good place to do it.
Yes.
Now, do you do outreach anywhere else?
We do. We actually go out to Rotary meetings. We've been doing a lot of that lately, and they're more interested in our presentations on identity theft, because they're not really the targets for most of these other things, as far as phone scams, whatever. Because people of our generation, typically, if they don't recognize the number, they're not going to answer the phone. Whereas the seniors are more likely to just
we're used to that.
Used to that. So we do that. It's mostly like evening programs when we do that. But it's definitely getting out there, and then before each presentation, we do talk about the Sheriff's Department as a whole, so they know what we do.
And you give them things to take home.
Yes.
Right, because they're not going to go back onto a website and probably look at it.
Right,
not
exactly.
Not as many of them will. I always did wonder too, is these awful scam people that do this, I'm calling from the IRS and we're going to come to your house and arrest you. Do you ever catch them? Do you catch these people?
That's a great question, and I think a lot of people wonder that. Very frequently, these they always should be reported. That's one thing that we want to say. Yes, we do track those down. We work with local law enforcement, the state police, federal authorities very frequently get involved, because as you can imagine, with telephone lines, computers, it's very easy for that to cross state lines. So jurisdictional questions come up. But also, international borders are oftentimes crossed. So we work very, very closely a lot of times with our federal partners, not just the state level, and they'll work internationally with Interpol, they'll work with Scotland Yard. And one of the things I like to say and remind people of, especially when we're talking to the seniors, is never, ever feel embarrassed by having been victimized, because I tell them also that these people are fantastic.
They're good.
My identity was stolen, and I don't know how that happened, but I got some letters in the mail that said, congratulations on your credit card or your loan, and
Yay.
So I want them to know
$100,000.
Yeah, and it's important for your audience to know as well that this can happen to anybody.
Absolutely.
And the most important thing is to report it, because we can limit the damage that victim will suffer, but also prevent it from happening to other people.
And who do you report it to?
Well, we would report it to local police.
Okay.
We report it to the state authorities. The
Okay.
DA's office works very closely with us on
Okay.
these things. And very frequently, when we get something, we're not the first.
Oh,
so
sure,
they'll
right.
know about that. And it's interesting to note because a lot of times, it's not just the IRS or Social Security. We had some scams going on a while back that were indicating that the sheriff's office was coming to arrest you for an
Warrant.
unpaid
There was a
tax.
warrant. There was a
Isn't that
warrant for their
great?
arrest.
Yeah, and of course that's not true, and we
Right.
put
You'd never do
information
that.
out.
Right, right.
But we do work very closely with local, state, national, federal, and international people, and we do catch them.
Okay. Did you
And
wanna-
sometimes it's way offshore, but
Yeah.
we
And
get
And
them.
we actually asked them to report it to the FTC as well, ftc.gov, because they actually track the stats
Yep.
and they actually will keep a running tally by state of what the latest scams
Yep.
are. So we can, keep track of that also. So when we go out into the county, we can say this is what is going on. in
And
our
I
state.
assume that you'll let the COA directors know the process. So if a senior doesn't want to report it themselves, they can come to the COA and say this happened to me, and they'll help them report.
Right, yeah,
Okay.
either the director there at the COA,
Yeah.
the staff at the COA, or they'll put them in contact with us.
Okay.
Or similar staff at the DA's office.
Perfect. Okay. Speaking of robocalls, you guys were involved with legislation to ban robocalls?
Correct, yeah, there was some federal legislation. Lori was good enough to grab some of the press reports about this.
Yeah.
But in this day and age where we see so little cooperation, especially at the federal level,
Yes.
in Congress on anything, that they are coming together and starting to coalesce around bills that will ban this robocalling drives us bananas, all of us,
Everybody.
crazy.
Right, right.
Legitimate or otherwise.
Yeah.
If I want to talk to somebody, I'll generally pick up the phone
Right,
and call them.
right.
I don't necessarily need to hear 100 times from
Right.
all these.
And this is on cell phone as well as your landline?
Cell phone as well
Okay.
as
Yes.
landline,
Which is
yeah.
great.
Yeah, and that's a great point that you bring up too, because many people are foregoing landlines and going only with cell phones.
Just cell phones,
Yeah.
absolutely. Another thing you did that fascinated me was you have a program that provides seniors with picture IDs.
We do. Yeah.
Yes.
Because once they can't drive anymore, right?
Right, they need a form of ID, particularly if they're out and about or even going for a walk.
Yeah.
It's just for security purposes. If anything happened, to know where they live, who they are.
Yeah.
And so it's a great resource. So we go out, particularly at health fairs,
Yeah.
and we provide senior IDs for them, and they can wear them on a lanyard or they can carry it in their wallet.
Yep.
And it's just a second form of ID. They can have it with a license if they like, just so they don't have to carry a wallet around, or they can use it instead just for safety.
Was there an emergency number on it or anything like that, so that if something happened to them and somebody found them, they could, from that ID, they could find out who to contact?
Well, their own personal information.
Okay,
their
so just like
address
your
and things
license
that.
would be?
Yeah,
Okay.
but as far as an emergency contact
Yeah,
number,
it's not-
no.
no.
And that would normally be a 911 call if
Anyway,
something would
okay,
happen. Yeah.
okay, that's awesome.
Yeah.
And their picture IDs, and where do they get them?
They get them from us. We do them on site.
Okay, so
yes.
you go to them?
Yes,
You
we
make
do.
it as easy as
Yes.
possible. Perfect. Let's talk about this safety assurance program, which is fascinating. Who wants to outline it, what it is, and who it's for, and how it got started?
Okay, so the safety assurance program has been around, I'm not quite sure how many.
Oh, God, the safety assurance program. I want to give a shout out to former Sheriff Peter Foreman, who I
way
know.
back.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
was going way back.
Yep.
Sheriff Foreman started this program, and way back when it was called "Are You Okay?"
Okay.
And we had to change the name because apparently that was copyrighted. We have upgraded several times since then the software and the equipment
Yep.
that do this. But
Yep.
but yeah, that goes back to the early '90s.
So what is it? It's a program that makes a phone call.
Yes, and it's definitely underutilized. We would wish more people would get on this this system. So it's for people that live alone.
Yep.
They can be elderly people or just people that may be on maybe disabled. And it would basically call them at a designated time, anywhere between 6 a.m. and noon time.
Every day?
Every day,
Okay.
unless they're away, and they can let us know that they're going to be away, and they won't receive a call that day. And so it's an automated service. So but there is an attendant there
Somebody's
listening.
listening.
Yes. So they will receive the call, and then they'll hit 1 if they're okay.
Yep.
They'd hit 3 if there's an emergency and you need to call 911.
Yep.
And then if they hit 5, it means that they would like the attendant to call them back.
Okay.
So typically, if they want them to call them back, it's because they're not going to be they're going on vacation.
Yep.
So they want to let him know. So they will call back, that will occur. So if they don't answer, the system will generate a second call. And if they don't answer again, it'll generate a third call.
Yep.
By the third call, if they don't pick up, then their next of kin would be contacted.
Okay.
So it's a great resource. It does save lives.
Yep.
And it's, as I said, it's
Can
definitely.
you give me an example of how that service saved a life?
Sure. So there was a gentleman suffering from a stroke, and he received the call, and he was able to hit number 3, and then they called that. They
Wow,
called
he's lucky
911
that he could do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To come, and also there's sometimes where there's individuals that are not feeling well, and so when they're getting this call every day, they'll maybe hit 5 and say, I'm not feeling well today, but I think I'm okay. And then they'll just, the next day call them again. And so that's happened a couple of times as well, where someone has been sent over, 911 has been called because this has been a consecutive issue where this person hasn't been feeling
and
well.
this can be an augmentation to the people that have like the lifelines and the buttons that they wear that they can automatically push themselves. Those are private.
Yeah, it's a great augmentation to that. And the nice thing too about this is normally, as Lori says, it's next of kin that would be notified.
Yep.
But they can have anybody if they don't want to bother their family. They can have a neighbor who could come over, and that's frequently the case. It's important that people understand that we don't scramble the cavalry immediately.
Sure.
We ascertain what the nature of the issue is, and oftentimes the issue of a call that goes unanswered is someone's golfing.
Yeah.
Which is
they
great.
didn't put in their hearing aids.
Yeah.
Or they're in the shower.
Yes, that's
right.
another thing.
Yeah,
They can't hear it.
They can't hear it.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So
Okay.
it's a great program, and it's not just for seniors, for anybody that finds themselves in a situation where they're home more often than not.
And how many people right now are utilizing this service?
There's 110 on the service right now.
110 out of all the 26 cities
Yes.
and
Out of
towns?
500,000
Out of 500,000 people. Okay.
yeah.
So clearly people don't know about this.
So what we hear from most seniors is, I'm not ready for that yet.
Oh, I'm not ready for it. Okay.
That's what they say.
Okay.
Yeah. So,
okay.
yeah.
But this is free, right?
It's free.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I think it's just they look at it as it's a loss of independence.
Sure.
Because they feel like I'm still living alone. I
Yep.
don't want
Yep.
that. But it's a preventative.
Yeah, sure. And they can opt in and out at any
Correct.
time,
Yeah,
correct?
absolutely.
Okay.
And I like to, when I speak to the groups, I like to tell them that, look, it's not a surrendering of your independence. It's an augmentation of that independence.
Absolutely.
And if you're not going to get it for yourself, you're not ready for it because you don't need it.
Yep.
But guess what?
Your daughter
It's
wants
going to make
yeah.
your family
Or
feel a lot
your
better.
son wants you to get it.
Yeah.
Right, exactly.
It'll do it for them, not
Yeah,
do it for yourself.
exactly.
And like you say, it's free, so they should.
They absolutely
Yeah.
should. And if this got really big and you had 500, 600, 700 people on the service, you still have only one person that's monitoring those phone calls, or would you have to add?
Well, we would probably
your
have to
staff at
add
that
people
point?
to that, yeah.
Yeah.
But the equipment that we have is certainly capable of doing those types of numbers.
That's great.
Yeah,
It,
we would
it
just.
automates them pretty quickly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep. Do you do anything special if there's a hurricane or a blizzard or does anything else happen in the case of a weather emergency?
Yeah, we do. We have reverse 911 capability that is available to all of our towns. And actually, not only do we do Plymouth County, we also do Bristol County as well through our communication center. So yeah, we do those. A lot of towns have their own system, but ours is available to any town that wants it.
That's great.
And it's not used for bake sales for the
Yep.
PTA.
Right.
It's only for public
Yeah,
safety stuff.
right.
Usually things like road closures.
Snow emergencies.
Yeah,
Yeah.
snow
Okay.
emergencies. Yeah, so we do that too.
Excellent. Thank you so much. So if people want more information about this, they're going to go to pcsdma.org, which is Plymouth County Sheriff's Department of Mass.org, right? And you can get all the information about all the things that you do and all the programs that you run.
Absolutely,
Yes.
yeah.
This is great. Thank you so much. This is valuable information, and
Thank
we'll
you,
make
Julie.
sure that we share it all over the place.
Thank you. We
Thank you.
appreciate that.
Okay, thank
you.
you.
Thank you.
And thank you for watching. Information and links to stories can be found at our website, pactv.org. PCN is also on Facebook and Twitter and YouTube, so be sure to follow us there. We'll see you again soon. Thanks for watching.